Hello and welcome to the Anxious Knitter Podcast. My name is Joy, and I am the Anxious Knitter. I'm so anxious that every time I hear thunder, the first thing that comes to my mind is apocalypse. But the sky has not yet fallen, which means we are back for episode 3. Like I said, my name is Joy, and I'm coming to you from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, where I live with my husband Luke and our dog Opie. This is a podcast mostly about knitting, but occasionally about crochet, sewing, and whatever artistic thing catches my fancy at the moment. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I'm more grateful than I can express. If you are brand new and just stumbling upon this podcast for the first time, I hope you find something that you like or find interesting. Yeah, so that's cool. Let's get started with stuff. I know last time I started with my DWEEB story of the week, so why not make that a pattern? Let's make it a segment. DWEEB story of the week. This week, well, it was actually last week. It was the day after I filmed last week. I was going to have a meeting for my other job, my theater job, and I've been anticipating this meeting and the whole thing, and I got there early. I got my drink at Starbucks. I was sitting at the table, looking around. I'm not seeing anybody from my team. Minutes start ticking by. So I messaged one of the team members who I worked with on the last show, and I was like, is anybody else coming to this meeting, or is it just me? Then she informs me that the meeting was next Thursday, which in this case is yesterday. So I had arrived a week early for this meeting, which I guess points for punctuality. Yeah, so I sat there in Starbucks by myself with a hot chocolate, and I knit a few rows on Luke's sock, which is not obviously the worst ending to this story, but I don't know, man. I have a thing where if I'm anticipating something, I live in that time. I am living in that day for at least a week, probably. And so I'm constantly, so close, guys. I was so close to having him here with me today. We'll see if he comes back. Anyway, yeah, that's my DWEEB story of the week. Arriving a week early for my meeting. Yeah, so should we get into the knitting or something? Because I have a couple finished objects. That's right, folks. My first finished object, and you're going to have to pardon the sloppy sock blocking because I don't have big enough sock blockers, is I finished Luke's socks, which I really do need to make sock blockers that are bigger because these just look lumpy and awful. But I finished them. They're done. These were the never-ending socks of doom. It got to the point where I was just desperate to finish them, and they just never seemed to end. I don't know. And the second sock was just full of problems. Just from start to finish, I was dropping stitches, just were flinging off my needles, and then I had to do so much patching up. I don't know which sock it is, but I had to do so much patching up along the heels. But anyway, these socks are for Luke. They're just a plain vanilla sock. 20 rows of 1x1 rib to start with, and then fish lips kiss heel because that's the only heel I know. Not my favorite color combination, like I said before, but he likes them. I will, if I ever knit him socks again, I will knit him socks again. I just don't think I'm going to be knitting him a pair of socks every month, for sure, because it just is like an abyss that I fall into. I'm going to try not to rustle too much, because I feel like the mic is going to pick that up. But anyway, yeah, they're just socks. Oh, no, I remember what I was going to say. Oh my gosh, you guys, I filmed my intro 30 times. I'm not even joking. I'm really sorry if my brain is all over the place. I guess I can speak to that a little bit more later as to why I'm so scattered, but anyway. Next time, I will knit him a longer leg. I think I did, so it was the 20 rows and then 60 rows, and it wasn't enough. I think I definitely have to do at least 70 or 80 rows of just the stockinette alone to make it the height that he really likes. But he really likes them. They're a bit snug, but I'm assuming that they're going to stretch out a bit. Also, So I was really careful about, like, keeping track of my rows so that I didn't have to keep measuring it on his foot the second time. And still somehow as I got, so it was 85 rows for the foot before I got to the toe on the first one. And then I got to 80 rows and I held the socks up together and, like, the second sock was already, it was going to be miles longer than the first sock. And so I stopped and then I just did the toe, but I don't know, it was really weird. But I don't know. It's okay. They're wearable. They'll keep him warm. That's what they're for. Who's really looking at the socks that he's wearing? Nobody is the answer to that question. So, yeah, so I finished those. And I also made myself a pair of fingerless mitts. I will pop these on and just grab my notes because I have it all written down. So I did these in like a day and a tiny bit. I did like the cuff of the first one the one day and then I finished the rest of the mitt and the second one. So anyway, here they are. They are the Masonry mitts by Vera Brosgol. And as you can see, this one. I did make a mistake where I knit instead of purl for like one row, like half a row. And I could have knit back, but I was just not having it that day. So I was just like, I'm just going to leave it. These are really just for like going out to walk the dog anyway. So they're not for fashion. I will make prettier like fashion-y fingerless gloves at some point, but these were not meant for that. Yeah, so it is a really, really good beginner pattern. So if you are just wanting to get into knitting like the fingerless gloves and you're a little bit nervous, these ones and the maze mitts that I made for anyway, yeah. These ones, the Masonry mitts and the maze mitts by Tin Can Knits that I made for Luke are really good beginner patterns. I did modify it a little bit though. I used a smaller needle. I used a 3.5 millimeter needle instead of, I think, 3.75. And I did not knit them as long because, again, I'm going to be wearing them with sweaters under a coat, so I didn't need them to go down to, like, here at all. And I didn't do the ribbing on the thumb. It had called to do the 1x1 rib. I also didn't do twisted rib for I just needed them to be fast and done so that my hands would be at least sort of warm when I was taking Opie out in the frigid winter cold. But yeah, I think they're cute. They're the same Patton's Classic Worsted that I used for my antler hat, so that they match. It's the Aran Tweed colorway, which I think is so cute, but they are kind of itchy on my hands, which is really annoying because I think they're so pretty. Like, the color is really pretty. But yeah, just really, really, really simple. Garter stitch. I was going to do seed stitch instead of garter stitch, but I just did not have the patience. I did most of this while, the second minute anyway, while watching The Magnificent Seven with Luke. Because I don't mind a Western. I don't watch a lot of them, but I don't mind them. But I also didn't need to, be, sitting there glued to the screen. So I made my mitts instead. So yeah, I only had the 2 finished objects this week. I was a little bit busier than usual. Again, I'll get to that later in my life, etc. But yeah, so just 2 small finished objects for this one. So I feel like this episode might be a bit shorter because I also don't have a ton of whips or anything. So this will be a sort of abbreviated episode, I think, unless I just ramble forever. But yeah, so that's it for finished objects, which means that we are moving right along to works in progress. Yeah, I'm trying out a new thing where I underline the text. I don't know. We'll see if it looks stupid or not, and whether I continue doing that. So my first whip is, actually I have 3 whips to show you this week. My first one is I cast on my February sock for the February sock bash that the grocery girls are hosting on their ravelry group, and I'm housing it in my newly vacated Adventure Time bag that Luke made for me. I was happy to get his socks out of here and put mine in. I'm just gonna say that because maybe I'm a little bit selfish. Yeah, so I've been keeping that in there. Get rid of the old ball band. Yeah, so I cast on my February sock, which is just a plain vanilla sock, more or less. I did 1x1 twisted rib for the first time, which I like the look of, but I was struggling with getting it even on the edges of the magic loop. But yeah, so this is just another Regia commercial sock yarn. It's Design Line, Arne and Carlos, and I don't know if this is the color. It says Belfischstock color. I don't know. It's not the same as what's on the picture, obviously. The colors are not quite the same. But I really, 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 really love it. I've been zipping along on this leg. I love the stripes. I think that the colors are really cute. I really love the little, like, black stripe along the top, and then, like, how most of the cuff is this, like, speckly green. And I'm using my little Bumblebee Progress Keeper just to mark the side, not to mark actual progress, that I just made from a charm that I got at Michael's on clearance. Yeah, so I don't imagine that this will take me very long to finish, because a vanilla sock obviously is just stockinette, so you're not having to, like, worry about any patterning, but I also only have 60 stitches on my, like, on the round, so it just goes so quick compared to Luke's socks. So yeah, that will be my third pair for my box of socks as well, which keeps me ahead of the game, which I'm hoping continues, because I don't know, like, I have no idea what summer is going to look like in terms of knitting. I assume it'll mostly be socks, but anyway, my second whip is my crochet blanket. So I did cast that on, chain it on, start it. It is beautiful crochet belt currently. So hold on, let me see if I can, just so you can see no, it's very long. Here you go. Yeah, so I don't have a ton of work done on it. Let's see. So I have just from my Hermione's Everyday Socks, from the shawl that I knit for my sister-in-law, from my grocery girl shawl, hat that I knit for my dad, my zombie cowl yarn, the other yarn from my grocery girls shawl. This one is from Luke's sock head hat. This one is from his sock. And then this one is, again, just the same gray that I had down here. I love it. It's wide enough to go across our queen bed. So I did 282 stitches plus 2. I believe that's how the formula worked. Or the 3.5 millimeter needle, which I don't know the letter name of it. Sorry. Yeah, so I know a lot of people do not like the chaining process and do not like doing the foundation row, but I don't know. I've done so many crochet blankets at this point that I don't even think twice about it. This is definitely one of those projects, though, that if I had enough minis or leftovers, I would be done this in like a week and a half probably. It would go so quick. You don't even think about it like as you're going, like if you're comfortable with crochet, I guess. But I am currently just working with actual leftovers that I have, and since I did only start knitting in August, I don't have a lot of leftovers yet, so it's like killing me because I want to keep working on it, but I don't want to be repeating colors yet. Like, I'd like to save like the white and the orange for, like, you know, to put 1 or 2 more rows in there later on in the blanket. I don't want to just do it because that's all I have. I don't have any mini skeins because, because I just started knitting, so I've obviously wanted to be doing, like, big projects and I had no reason to be buying mini skeins until now. Now, I'm obviously scoping them out on Etsy constantly, but it's just so hard, like, shipping to Canada is, like 99% of the time, it's just exorbitant, and then at that point, I'm like, well, I might as well just go to my local yarn shop and just buy a full skein of yarn. But I want the minis! It'll happen. I'll get there eventually. And as I knit more and I have more projects finished, and I'll have more leftovers, and it'll be fine. But, ooh, I do love it. I really do. And I think it's going to be so pretty. I love a scrappy blanket. I love the way they look. The only thing that I'm not like, I was like, why did I do that? Was I put the white and the black together. I'm like, what, Joy? Why would you do that? Honestly, why would you not break that up with a gray or something? You just have a random checkerboard happening in the, whatever. I'm sure that once the whole blanket is done, you won't even notice it. So, and honestly, it's going on my bed, so who's gonna be looking at it? But I am looking forward to seeing it grow. Oh, there goes the dog. Okay. And my last one is obviously my brioche shawl. I have some things to say about this. Okay. So I'm going to try and do this in a way that doesn't just send my stitches falling off my needles. So this is how far I am, which is, oh my god, guys. Alright, it's so slippery. I think I'm a 15 repeats in, something like that. Whoop, sorry. Just flinging my needles around, just lethal weapons. So yeah, here it is. So the yarns I'm using are both lichen and lace in her 80/20 sock, and the main color is wildflowers, and the contrasting color is aqua haze, and loving the way it looks. I think it's going to be so beautiful. I love the texture of the fabric. I like to name my projects if I can, find a connection or whatever. Like, I like to name them after characters or people or whatever. This one's my Moelleux shawl. Moelleux is a female impressionist. But if you look up her paintings, you'll see, like, this is almost exactly her color palette. Like, right down to, like, the soft browns in there as well. So I thought that was fitting. Now, the last time you saw this, I think I'd done 3 repeats, so that would have been where this white lifeline is. Just this little bit right there. So after I had finished filming, I told you I'm going to be using lifelines. I didn't use a lifeline, and I got to 8 repeats. And it was I was going along, it was making sense, I was like, yeah, I'm getting it. And then I was like, at the end of this 8th repeat, I will put in my lifeline. Well, did this brioche ever punch me in the throat? Okay, I got to the end of one of my rows in the middle of the 8th repeat, and something was not right. I was like, I'm missing, like, the order is off, I don't know why it would be off. I turned it around to the right side to see if I could see the mistake on the other side, and I did. I had dropped 2 stitches, at least 2 stitches, and they were just wee sliding on down. So I would have been like, think about this, maybe along here. That's how far I was. My heart like stopped. I like ran figuratively to Mina Philipp's video to see how to fix the mistake. I tried to get my chill on. Hold on, let me wait for my dog to stop barking again. So anyway, I thought I'd done it. I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. And like, they look right. thought they looked right. They were still not right. Tried to fudge it. You can't. I don't think you can fudge 2-color brioche. I certainly couldn't. And I had to come to terms with the fact that I was going to have to rip it all out. So I did. And then I started over another 5 times at least. Because I was frustrated. It was getting late in the evening. And I was tired, which is not the time when you should be doing any kind of complicated knitting at all. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it until tomorrow. So I did. And then I started over again, and this time I got paranoid, and as you can see, I have lots of lifelines in here. Oh my god, I must have like 5 or 6 now. Like every 2 or 3 repeats I put one in. But now I seem to be getting the hang of it. I think what the problem is, and continues to be my problem, is that I understand now the rhythm of the brioche. I can like look at it and I can sort of read my knitting in terms of like, oh well, obviously that's a stitch that needs to be slipped and that's one that needs to be barked and whatever. And but I don't understand how it works. It's like magic. I don't understand how it's creating this. And I think because I don't understand the actual mechanics of the brioche, it's harder for me to like understand how to fix mistakes. Also, I just realized I didn't mention what the pattern name is, which is, it's the Squishy Shawl by Mina Philipp, or I guess the technical name is Le Moelleux. But I love it. I think I'm gonna aim for another at least 10 repeats. If I can get there, if not 15 repeats. But yeah, so it is coming along. I get about 2 repeats done a day, 2 to 3 repeats done a day. And the reason I don't do more than that is because I don't want to like push my stamina, I guess you could say. Like, I don't want to get too complacent with it, because I feel like that's when I would start making mistakes. So I don't work on it for like 8 hours a day or something, and I don't work on it in the evening. I only work on it when I have daylight and when I'm not too distracted. I can oh my god, something in my throat. I can now listen to podcasts while I work on it, or watch TV while I work on it, which is nice, so I don't have to be sitting here in like awkward silence. But yeah, I'm doing the asymmetrical version of it. She gives you the option of doing a symmetrical or an asymmetrical version. I just think that it'll look really, really pretty when it's done. But yeah, so hopefully it'll be done by the next time I film. I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but maybe it will be. Who knows? Yeah. All right. So those are all of my whips. That's it. Like, it's crazy. I'm at 25 minutes right now, and like, there's so much stuff I need to cut out of me just like messing up my intro. Anyway, it's time for stuff I bought for knitting, which I did not buy stuff for knitting. Well, I didn't buy yarn. Yeah, I actually did not go to the yarn store this past 10 days or whatever it is, whatever it's been. Just didn't have a reason. I was working on the stuff that I had, and yeah, but I did I bought one pattern and then I downloaded another one that was free. So the first pattern I bought was the Rebel 1 pattern by Lesley and Robinson, which is her Princess Leia tribute shawl. It is currently a 1-color brioche project, but she's doing a 2-color version as well, and I will insert a picture here. Yeah, I just think it's really, really pretty. I think it might be a little bit out of my depth right now, but I figured she had like, you know, she was, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like having like a promotion for the release, so it was like 15% off or 20% off or something, so I figured I might as well just buy it now, and then when I'm ready for it, it'll be there. and I can just work on it. But this is one of those patterns where I want to do it in like the colors that she's doing. I don't think I would use hedgehog fibers. I think she's using hedgehog fibers typewriter. But I don't really have easy access to hedgehog fibers here as much as I would like to. So I'll probably either use Madeline Tosh Birch Gray or Ancient Arts yarn in her Dalmatian colorway. It's the same idea. The black speckles on white. It's gorgeous. I just think it is so pretty. It is such a good tribute to Princess Leia, and I believe she's donating to ACLU a certain amount of proceeds. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that actually really quickly. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of, I know Mina Philipp, I think for the next week, if you buy any of her patterns, she will donate a certain amount of the proceeds. I think that's actually what I'm thinking of. Anyway, it's cool, regardless. And the second pattern I got, which I was really excited about, is the Asunder shawl by Lisa Mutch. And again, I will put in a picture here. Yeah, so this is a shawl that I'm pretty sure has like been in my queue or in my favorites or whatever. Like I was planning to knit it, and she was having a promotion for one day only. You could download it for free, and I saw it at 11:30 p.m. and I was like in bed, like scrolling through Instagram, and I saw that she had this promotion. So I like jumped out of bed. Luke was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I will explain in a minute." And I like ran to the living room and I like downloaded it really quickly. So that was exciting. I caught it right in the nick of time. But my dilemma is, so do you remember, I think it was the first episode, I showed you these two skeins of yarn. And I had, it was, the ball band is off of this because of reasons, and it's a terrible rescanning job, and that was my fault. Not Sweet Georgia. So this is Sweet Georgia's Tough Love sock in the Rogue colorway, and then this is Northbound Knitting in Ivernia. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And I had originally bought these to do a Pure Joy, but now I'm wondering if I want to do the Asunder with it. So looking at these two colors, guys, I'm going to cover my face up. What do you think? Should I do the Pure Joy with this, or should I do the Asunder with it? This is my struggle, because once I finish the squishy shawl, this is like that. This will be my next project, whatever it is. But yeah, give me your vote. I want to know. Do you think that you'd rather see these as a Pure Joy or as an Asunder? I don't know. I have some time to think about it, but I don't know, because I already have the Asunder pattern, but I don't have the Pure Joy pattern. But I really do like the Pure Joy. I'd never done short rows before, but I've also never done that drop stitch pattern before that the Asunder has. Ooh, decisions are hard. I'm going to take a sip of my tea to think about that. This is my 1692 Witch City, Salem, Massachusetts mug. Luke and I went to Salem in 2015 for our anniversary trip. And it was so much wish fulfillment on my part. I have been obsessed with the Salem witch trials since I was probably like 9 or 10. I just thought it was so interesting, and it's a beautiful little town. Do you know what I'm really bitter about, though? I was not a knitter at the time, but they have a local yarn shop, and I could have bought yarn in Salem, Massachusetts, and I didn't. Didn't even know that the shop was there. Walked right on by, I'm sure. But yeah, I got this fun little mug. If you ever have a chance to go, you should go. It's so cool there, and like, there's like 20 museums. varying quality, but still, lots of fun. And I'm just drinking, like, Twinings Lady Grey tea. I don't really have too much loose leaf right now that I'm into. Yeah, so that's all I bought for knitting. Maybe next time I'll have more to show you, but who knows. Which means that we are already moving along to my life, etc. Yeah, okay. Let me just wait to make sure my dog is not going to start howling. Yeah, so I have had an interesting week and a half, to say the least. Got some stuff done. I got my first aid certification because it's a new requirement for my theater job, and it will be a new requirement for my preschool literacy job, either next year or the year after, so I figured I might as well just get it done. So my mom and I signed up, we went to the same first aid course, and, okay, I had so much anxiety about this thing because the majority of my anxiety is social anxiety. And I did not like the idea of being in a room full of people I don't know, knowing that I was going to have to, like, do the whole, like, demonstrating the CPR and group work and stuff like that. Because I have been first aid certified in the past. I was first aid certified in high school through my health class, which I guess wasn't as bad because it was a group of people that I knew, but this was mostly strangers with the exception of my mom. And we had to do all the scenarios and acting things out, and our teacher was really good and he was funny, but, like, he had, like, one of those senses of humor where he would, like, make a joke and he'd be, like, laughing, like, hysterically at his own joke, and then he'd be like, ha ha ha, but this could kill you. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, and you're still, like, awkwardly grinning because you were just laughing, but, like, then he got real serious for some reason, but anyway, it was 2 full days. It was a whole weekend I had to give up, and I was not happy about it. It was super cold in the building, which was not fun, but it went fine. I got perfect on my test, so I definitely am the kind of person you want around if you need first aid. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't have a lot of physical strength. I don't know that I would be very good at, like, CPR and stuff like that. But I still passed, and I'm now first aid certified, and I don't know, I feel like for most people that would be an empowering experience. Like, you would be like, yeah, now, like, I'm prepared for every situation, and, like, I can help people, and I can rescue people if I need to, if, like, you know, they're in dire straits or whatever. But for me, it's like, now, I already think about all those worst case scenarios, like, every day, and this was, like, a concentrated, like, 14 hours of thinking of all of the worst case scenarios all at the same time. And for me, that's just, like, I really don't want to have to use my first aid training beyond, like, pinching a nosebleed or putting someone's arm in a sling. Like, I don't want to have to do the, like, emergency stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I'm like, oh no, like, I have to help, and, like, it's kind of scary. That being said, I am one of those people that when things are sort of in crisis, the anxiety, like, just, like, snaps off, which is funny. Like, I always try to explain it to people, like, I know that the things that I am anxious about are generally irrational. Like, I know that, you know, rationally, when there's a thunderstorm, it does not mean the world is ending, but there's still that, like, part of my brain that just is like, no, obviously the world is ending because there's loud noises outside. So my anxiety is typically irrational. That's what, like, troublesome, like, anxiety is. So when something happens, and, like, it's like I don't like blood either. When people, like, show me a paper cut, I'm like, ugh. But if I see, like, blood streaming out of someone's face, it doesn't bother me. I just have to go and fix the problem. So I know rationally that if I were to come across a crisis, I would go into like crisis mode where I'm just like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to see if I can fix what needs to be fixed and get this person as okay as I can before, you know, a doctor shows up or a paramedic or whatever. But still, there's that part of me that's going all the time. So that was something that happened this week, and I had my actual meeting yesterday, which was really good. I won't go into details about it, but it was for Beauty and the Beast Jr., which I'm directing starting at the end of the month, and it was just like getting the team together with the new artistic director and kind of talking vision and stuff like that. But it looks like it's going to be like a really, really good team. And that's always nice. It's always kind of like a load off your shoulders, right? I talked about this last time with the literacy job, where you're like, when you have a team of really good, competent people that you know you're going to be able to work well with. Oh, I feel like my hand looks disembodied when I do this. Ooh, the thing. Sorry. Yeah, when you have a great team of people, then it kind of makes your job a little easier. And then I had like a separate chat just with the artistic director while I was waiting for Luke to come pick me up. And that was really good and really helpful. So I would like to say that I'm feeling optimistic. And I am, to a certain extent. I've just gotten very jaded, I guess, about optimism lately. Yeah. And I don't know, it kind of sucks because after the Christmas show ended and like all my commitments had ended, and then I had my break before my next set of commitments started, I felt it was like a physical weight being dropped off my shoulders, and I felt like myself, like my usual self, without all of the anxiety. And like the knitting was really helpful through the whole thing, and then now that I'm going back into the thing that stresses me out, even if I feel fairly certain that it's going to go much better this time around, I can still already feel like the shift happening in my emotions, where like I catch myself like, you know, second guessing everything that I say, or like I have a bit of trouble sleeping, or I notice that I'm really tired for like no reason whatsoever. I just want to, you know, I get out of bed and then I want to go back to bed. I fight that. I don't just go back to bed. I do stuff instead of that. But those instincts are there to do that. So I'm trying to like keep my head above the water in that sense. Like I'm trying not to like doomsay anything, because obviously nothing has happened yet, and maybe things are going to go really, really well. So yeah, I am doing my best in that regard. Yeah, other than that, Luke and I went for dinner to our favorite sushi place, which was really nice to celebrate my first aid certification. We look for any reason to celebrate with sushi, honestly. Did anything else happen? No, not really. It was mostly like work-related stuff. So let's just kind of talk about some things I've been watching / listening to, because I have started like watching a ton of and listening to a bunch of podcasts. So I'll just like name a few of them really quick. So I started listening to Knitbritish, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, but if you haven't, this lady is the best. I believe her name is Louise, and she's Scottish, and I'm obsessed with Scotland and Scottish accents and everything to do with Scotland. Luke and I went to Edinburgh and Inverness, and London, but predominantly Edinburgh and Inverness for our honeymoon, and we loved it. So anything that has to do with Scotland, I will generally be like, yes, this is what I like. This is what I want. So yeah, she's really funny and really, really intelligent. Like the way she approaches knitting. I listened to a really good episode the other day about valuing what you do, which for me is always something that I find difficult. Is truly like putting the value on what I do and not just like doing things for free that I don't want to because I feel like I should or whatever. So I really recommend you go and listen to her. And she's talking lately about the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I'm so sad that I can't go all the way to Edinburgh to this yarn festival because it would just be like the perfect marriage of like two of my absolute favorite things. Edinburgh, yarn. Someday. Who knows? Maybe someday Luke and I will go back and it will coincide with the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. But anyway, and like a lot of people, I've also been watching the Stranded podcast, she's so fun. I'm really, really bad at like just remembering people's names. I can remember their podcast names, so you'll have to forgive me. But a lot of people have been talking about the Stranded podcast. So if you haven't watched it yet, again, go and watch it. But I assume most of you have watched it. I just want to be in the UK. I want to be UK podcasters. I've also been watching the Skeindeer Podcast. I think she's Norwegian living in the UK, and she does mostly like traditional color work, and she's really fun because sometimes she's sort of prickly, but in like the really good way, and I really like that. I like prickly people. The Knitlib Podcast is another one. She's Canadian, and she is really funny and quirky. She's studying to be a librarian, I believe. And, yeah, she does some really cool stuff. And this is not a knitting related podcast, but I have been continuing to listen to the Someone Knows Something podcast, which is a true crime podcast from CBC Radio. And it's this investigative journalist, and he is investigating the disappearance of this woman, Cheryl Shepherd, from Hamilton, Ontario in the late 90s. So he's been going around and like interviewing people and trying to see if he can dig up anything substantial to help the police to locate her, whether it's her like physical self living somewhere else or her remains or whatever. He's just trying to figure anything out that he can. And it got insane. Like, I did not like the first season. I told you that, but I was interested in the second season anyway, and I'm glad that I stuck around because this season is so good, so interesting, like so gripping. Like, I think there's 10 episodes right now, so go and binge listen to those because they are really good. And yeah, I don't think there's really anything else media-wise. I've mostly just been binge-watching Supernatural while I knit, because I'm way behind. I'm now on season 7, so I'm catching up, but yeah. I love that show. I love how that show somehow manages, after 7 seasons, to still be, like, campy and fun, even though, like, it's dealing with a lot of dark stuff, like, in the A plot, but the B plots are still, like, so funny. And, like, it doesn't get old. How has it not gotten old after 7+ seasons? I don't know. Those writers are good, I guess. But yeah, so I don't know what else to tell you. I guess that's really it. So, again, thank you so much if you stuck around for the whole episode. I hope you saw something that you liked, or heard something that you liked, or I don't know, whatever. I hope you enjoyed spending your time with me. I hope I didn't waste your time. If you would like to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Ravelry as dabblejoy, and you can find me on Instagram as Rhineland Story. So I will put that in the bottom information as well in case you didn't catch it on the screen. Yeah, so thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, an awesome weekend. Go do awesome stuff, because you guys are awesome. Over and out.